All right, now we're logged in over here. Thank you so much for joining me. And folks, I am going to be totally casual on today's broadcast because honestly, day before New Year's Eve, it's a Friday, it's beautiful out here. I'm just going to enjoy myself. I have my notes so I can make sure that I give you guys everything you need. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have everything going on here. We have Periscope, we have the Big Impact Entrepreneurs, we have my Facebook fan page, we have everything happening here. I'm talking to my Big Impact Entrepreneurs primarily. So if you're over there on Periscope or over here on Facebook, hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. But just mainly talking to my Big Impact Entrepreneurs. If you guys want to be a part of that group, then you just go to Facebook and search Big Impact Entrepreneurs. You'll find it. We're going to be talking a lot today, and I have my water here. I've got my. If you guys talk a lot and you're like me and your throat gets really dry, you need to get this thing called Singer's Soothing Throat Spray. You can throw that right there, as you guys can see that. This stuff is incredible, and of course, you guys have the sun behind you, so sorry about that, Periscope. But this stuff is awesome. Kind of keeps your vocal cords lubricated. Great stuff. All right. You guys need to ask a lot of questions because this entire thing is going to be driven by what you want to know. And if you don't tell me what you want to know, then I'm just going to go based off of all my clients and what people have told me and all the things I see people struggling with out there. But if you have questions, then go ahead and put them up there, and I will answer them as much as I can, as often as I can. But if you guys are, asking questions I don't know the answer to, hey, you know what? I don't know everything, and there's no way I'm going to be able to answer everything. So I'll do my best. I'll give you everything I can, but it's not always going to happen. So again, totally casual Friday, nice and sunny outside. And let's ring in 2017 on an awesome foot, all right? I really want you guys to just explode in 2017. And 2016 was one of those weird years for me where my business, I got rid. I'll start out with my personal story about why I'm doing this and why it's so important to me. I was in the financial services field for several years, started a business in 2011, and I was doing okay at it. I was, doing some sales. I was getting some high ticket clients. I was doing the funnels. I was doing the marketing. I was doing all this crap that everybody tells you to do, and nearly went bankrupt doing it. All right. In 2015, I had to shut down everything, and admittedly, it was probably a year too late. I spent way too much money trying to keep this thing going, and I tell you, emotionally, physically, financially, it just sucked the life out of me trying to keep this thing going. And what I realized is I also got clients that I didn't like. I don't know if you guys have that situation where you run into, building a business and all of a sudden you start looking with your customers and your clients and you're like, man, I just can't stand these people anymore. I actually had a few of those. Now, obviously not everyone, but I had a few, and it was challenging to say the least. So finally shut down the end of 2015, a year ago, and the other reason I did that was because my wife was starting up her chiropractic office, and I'm kind of the one that sort of continuously pushed her in that direction. She finally decided to say, let's do it. I was totally on board. I spent basically 3 months living in the office. We imported stuff from China. We were, hiring contractors and putting lead up in the walls and installing x-ray machines and doing the marketing and the branding and all this sort of stuff. And it was a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. It took a lot of work. But we launched in January. Did like a kind of a soft opening, if you will, in January. Then started doing some marketing, and as a result of the marketing and going online and doing some online advertising, some online marketing, some offline direct mail marketing, we ended up getting 150 people to our grand opening. And that is no small feat when you have a brick and mortar business in a small town. We have 18,000 people in our town, and we got all these people to actually show up. Now, of course, some of them just wanted the wine and cheese, and I can't blame them. But as a result, we ended up getting a whole bunch of new patients out of that. And we spent probably close to about $3,000 to $4,000 on just the marketing for the grand opening. And we ended up getting a whole bunch of patients out of that. I don't know exactly what our ROI was, but it was in the 3 to 5x range, okay? And I realized that when I was doing that and I was going through all of this, that's what I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed starting and helping businesses grow. Now, at the same time, I started getting involved in this lean startup world where people take an idea and they try to bring it to the market, but 90% of entrepreneurs fail. And why is that? It's because they don't understand the market or they don't know how to build a business. They have a great idea for technology, but they have no idea how to create a business around that. And so I started doing consulting and projects on that. I had already been coaching in the entrepreneurial space, and really found my niche there in helping entrepreneurs figure out how to scale businesses. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't help small business owners from time to time. I absolutely do. But my area of expertise and my passion is helping businesses go from the idea phase to taking it to 7, 8, 9 figures. And I know I can do that because I've done it in the corporate world. All right. And it's been pretty awesome, and I've just enjoyed it so much. Thanks, Travis. Awesome, brother. Love working with you. Love the message in Epic, man. And if you guys are in the chat and want to add some comments, then please do. And we'll see it out there. Travis Greenlee actually runs Epic Men Tribe, and you guys totally need to check that out. Guys, obviously, check that out because it's just an awesome community. But anyway, I was working on projects, and we're bringing new technology into the corporate world, and we're actually going out and we're looking at new startups, and we're finding these startups, and we're taking them to corporate America so that big corporations can acquire them. And so I worked on acquisitions ranging from, just a partnership to fully acquiring multi-million-dollar deals, 20, 30, 40 million-dollar deals. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And then I got to start working on projects where, we're working on an opportunity right now that could be a billion-dollar profit center and a trillion-dollar industry if it all works out, reinventing the way people do investing and finances and insurance. And all of that stuff really gets me excited. So I'm really looking forward to bringing all of that stuff full circle to you guys and showing you how we go ahead and we go from this idea phase to kind of creating an idea for a business and getting your vision down, and then the lead generation behind that, and then scaling it, right? That's the part that I can really fill in. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am not the world's foremost expert on lead generation. I'm not the foremost expert on Facebook advertising. I do all of this stuff okay, in some cases pretty well. What I am the foremost expert on is systematizing, and they are the same word actually, I found that out, systematizing and scaling, all right? And there's some very important things you need to understand when you're trying to scale a business. And most people think it's just throw more money at the same type of marketing that you've already been doing, and as a result, you'll scale. And anyone who's tried that has understood that you can fall flat on your face faster doing that than anything else. And the world is littered with all of these case studies of giant corporations that were in the 100 million or billion-dollar range that ended up trying to do that exact same thing, and they fell flat on their face. So if they're failing with all of their resources, then what are the chances that the small solo entrepreneur or a small team can do it and figure it out successfully? Well, they can if they start leveraging their points, the points that I'm going to talk about, the systems and the strategies that we're going to be talking about today. All right, so that's a little bit about me, my history and why I'm doing this, and I really want to help you scale. So this is not if you've never started a business or you've never made a single dollar from your business, maybe this isn't the right live stream for you. You'll learn a lot, I guarantee you will, but it might just go straight over your head. But if you're making like 6 figures, $250,000, $500,000, maybe even upwards of $1 million, and you really want to explode that and maybe 10x that in 2017, this is the place for you, because there are certain strategies that I know how to use and implement to make that happen. And we're going to be talking a lot about that. Now, the first thing that you need to understand whenever you are trying to grow a business or build a business is that you, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, as the executive in charge, it's your baby, right? And 99.99% of the world out there is not going to understand that. They're not going to adopt your idea of what a business is or what you should be doing. They're not going to have the same work ethic as you. And as a result, most of this will fall to the entrepreneur. Most of this will fall to the CEO. And that's what was happening with me in my last business. And I got, so incredibly depressed when things weren't going right, because I just expected everything to really just take off like a rocket ship and really explode, and it didn't work out, and I couldn't figure out why. And when I finally sat back and assessed what was going on, I realized the reason it wasn't taking off was because I wasn't applying the principles that I knew would work, because I was trying to do everything myself. And when you do everything yourself, you cannot scale beyond that. You can't scale too far too fast when you're the only person. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned when you're trying to go through that. All right, so, and like I said, this is totally informal. You guys go ahead and just ask questions. If I see questions coming up anywhere, I'll try to respond to them. I'm not going to be typing anything here, but Please ask as many questions as you want. Totally transparent, 100% open on this one. Again, Casual Friday. Let's rock this stuff, right? So again, I do have my notes. So if I'm looking down, it's because I don't remember all of this stuff in the right sequence off the top of my head. But I'm definitely going to help you guys with it. Okay, now once I had that realization that I needed to apply what I'd learned in, not only my MBA program, but also when I was out there working with other companies and working in the Navy and the operations and the logistics and the strategies and the systems and all of this stuff, I need to start applying that in my own world. And when I did that, things started changing for me. And I started putting myself out there and I started letting people know what I could do and what I could do for businesses. And as a result, people actually started resonating with me. I felt like when I was in my financial services business that a lot of things were just forced. And when you are trying to force yourself into a role or into a business or into a position or even into an authority, then I think everybody else out there can sense it. It's the universe sending out this vibe and saying that, you know what, this person isn't the real deal. And I think that's what was happening to me. Well, actually, I know that's what was happening to me. Because after a while, it just wasn't fun anymore. I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed the process of building the business, but then when it wasn't working out the right way, I had to figure out what was going on. And since I was the face of the business, putting my face on the cover of my book and everything like that, everything fell to me, and I just felt like everything was being forced. And so if you feel like you're trying to force yourself into a business, or if you feel like there's a lot of resistance to actually growing your business and building it, and it's really preventing you from achieving those goals that you want to achieve, then that's probably what's happening, is you're not really living up to your true potential in your passion. And I know a lot of people say, don't worry about your passion, make money and then the passion will come. Or, just make the money and then go have fun spending the money on your passion. And there's a lot of people that believe that, and what I've found is that's not true. Okay, what I have found is that if I'm not passionate about something, then there's no stick-to-itiveness, right? I'm not going to stay with it long enough to see any results. And when that happens, and you are the solo entrepreneur and you're the driver of the ship, you're the captain of the ship, and you're the one that loses energy and momentum, then nothing else is going to move forward, right? That's exactly what happened in my last business. And I realized that because I was no longer passionate about it, nothing else was going to happen. And so I had to call it quits and I had to move on. Now in this business, in my coaching and consulting world, I love what I do. I love who I work with. And so as a result, I think that shines through. And I think that people see that and they resonate with that. So if you are sensing resistance in your business or in growth, then you really need to start focus inwardly and say, am I really passionate about this? And if you're not, then maybe it's time to rethink your strategy, especially since it's a new year. 2017 is wiping the slate clean, right? And you can actually say, look, now I need to focus on the things I want to be passionate about and build a business around that. That's all about what Big Impact Entrepreneurs is. Building a business around your passion so that you can make a big impact. Now, if you're in my group and you've watched the YouTube video about being a high impact or a big impact entrepreneur, I call it big impact because you're making a huge impact not only in your life, but in the lives of your family and the people in your community, right? If you are creating jobs, I think that's the ultimate, sense of self-worth for me, is being able to provide for others things that they couldn't provide for themselves, right? So if you're creating jobs, if you're creating a product or a service that changes the world out there, I love the organizations out there that are helping communities that without any water around the world figure out ways to build wells and be self-sustaining and all of a sudden create farming cultures. Like, those things are awesome and I love seeing that stuff. But if you can't build a business around it, you can't make it profitable, then it's going to fall flat on its face and it's going to fail and you're going to feel like a failure yourself and you're not going to have the impact. So let's focus 2017 on making an impact first around something that we're passionate about, and we will build a business around that. That's what this whole thing is about, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you today about. So if you want to go from 6 to 7 figures, or if you are self-employed and you're just burned out, then you are in the right spot, okay? And I have what I call the focus method. It's not the focus framework. Justin Wilcox already has that. He has his focus framework, so I can't steal that. But I've been writing a book called Focus for a long time. And focus for me is really, really important because what I have found is that any area of my life where I have not achieved the goals that I've set out to achieve, it's because I wasn't focused on the process and the result. And focus is an analogy for me. Okay, a focus is a fixed obsession culminating in unbelievable success. Whatever that success is for you. So focus, fixed. You are tunnel vision. You are staring at what your goal is, and that is the only thing that you are going to be paying attention to and working on. All right? If you find that you are going after shiny object, you will fall flat on your face. Okay? Everything needs to fit into your strategy, and we'll talk about that. Now, an obsession means you literally have to have a burning desire, and you have to be obsessed about what you are doing and what you're going to achieve. If you are not, then it will be very, very difficult for you to keep moving forward day in and day out. And when it culminates in unbelievable success, that means it will result in unbelievable success because you have been fixed and obsessed on the things that are most important to you in creating your goal. Now, when it comes to your business, you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision of what it's going to look like at the end of the day. Most people out there that I've studied, that I've worked with, that I've mentored from, they seem to assume that the vision is already there. And when they come in and they help, maybe it's Facebook advertising, maybe it's direct response copywriting, maybe it's building a funnel, maybe it's managing your team or being a leader, they all seem to assume that you already have this thing called a vision. And all they are there to do is help nurture their little piece of the process. Unfortunately, what I have found and what happened to me is that the vision is not 100% clear for the entrepreneur. And as a result, the entrepreneur ends up pivoting far too many times before they actually achieve any sort of success. And why does this happen? Well, it happens because we automatically think that we know where we're going, we know what we want to achieve. Because we say, I want a 7-figure business. And when somebody says, I want a 7-figure business, what does that really mean? I mean, it means you make $1 million in a year, but you could make $1 million and be bankrupt the very next year, right? Because you didn't build it the right way. You didn't build it sustainably. You didn't create some sort of profit center in your business. Instead, you just built something that generated a lot of revenue and then you went bankrupt. And if you don't have the right vision in place, then the other thing that's going to happen is you're going to veer off your path on a regular basis. Now, everyone is going to veer off their path from time to time. But I want to relate this to an airplane. You know, when a pilot gets up in the air and they put the plane on autopilot, what's happening is the plane is flying towards a given destination. But as the plane is flying, it is constantly being blown off course by the wind, or maybe there are slight modifications to its travel pattern, and it needs to come back and adjust. So as it's going along, it's constantly moving towards its destination, but it's just course correcting the entire way. That's what a vision allows you to do. A vision allows you to see where you want to go and what you want to achieve and what the outcome ultimately will be. But if you don't have that, then you're going to be going in the wrong direction altogether. You might be going this way or that way and not going towards what you think the goal is. And so how do you get to a vision for you, for your life, for your business? Well, you start by writing down what you're passionate about. You start by focusing inwardly on what do you want your life to look like. So for me, I have 2 young boys, Bryce and Brody, and they are out of this world energized. I mean, I've never seen so much energy in little children, and I do not know how teachers can handle it all day, every day. But these boys pop out of bed and they are energized and they're ready to go, and they come home from school and they're ready to go all night, and until we finally read a story to them at night and put them to bed, they want to go, go, go. And I love being around them. I love being a part of that. So my vision involves me working out of my home office here, so that I can spend time with my family, so that I can live the life that I want to live and take them on the vacations I want to take them on and provide for them in the way that I want to provide for them. So you have to start with yourself first. As the entrepreneur, if you do not start with what you want to achieve and you let your business kind of lead your life, then you will ultimately be burned out, frustrated, tired, all of that, because you're letting something else control your happiness and control your life. Okay, and that's not what we want. So you need to start out with your life. So once you've figured out what you want the vision for your life to look like by writing it down, and if you're married, if you have a spouse, you discuss it with them. And you say, look, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. You have to be transparent there. And you hate to say it, but you might find at some point that it's the wrong relationship. If that person's like not on board at all, then maybe you need to rethink that. But you really need to get clear with your vision. And the reason I want you to discuss it with not only your spouse, but a mastermind group or a group of peers that are like-minded is because if you don't, then you're going to think that this is the greatest vision in the world, and you're going to think that it's very clear. And somebody else is going to say, it doesn't make any sense to me. How are you going to do this, X, Y, and Z? And then you're going to say, well, shit, I didn't think about that. I guess I need to go back and reconsider that. And this is what happened to me on a number of occasions. This is what happens to failing businesses as well. The person in charge of their life, of their business, thinks that they have a very clear picture of where they want to go and what they want to achieve. But because they haven't put it to words or put it to writing and shared it with somebody else, they have no way of articulating it to the rest of the world. And if you cannot articulate it, if you have trouble articulating what your vision is, then you're going to fail in the second step, which is the leadership aspect. Okay, because the leader of a business, the entrepreneur, the CEO, the person in charge, is who everybody else looks to when they need guidance and direction. And the reason that most leaders who fail is because they are terrible at communication and articulating their vision. So if you have a team, and you can do this tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but if you do it Monday, if you do it on a work day, and you have a team who you feel is not really operating at the highest level, and you don't feel like they are achieving the things that you've asked them to achieve, they're not following through on the things you've asked them to do, then just sit down, just take half an hour out of your day, sit down with them and say, what's the vision for our company? What's the vision for what we're trying to achieve here? And I guarantee you that if you do that, and you get a response back from them that they don't know, then it means that you haven't done a good job of articulating it. And if you have not done a good job of articulating what your vision is, then you can't be an effective leader. And effective leadership is the crux. It's the foundation of building a business. You know, every business that you look at out there has an effective leader at the top if they are one of the best businesses in their space. You know, Jim Collins, when he was doing good, I think it was Good to Great, he said that we really didn't want to talk about leadership as a core component of building a great company. We want to look at companies and find out what it is that makes a company great in the first place. And they looked at everything they could, their sales structure, their pricing structure, their operational model, their team structure, all of these different things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, one of the components that came down to building a great company was having what he calls a level 5 leader. Someone who is really good at listening, really good at articulating a vision, really good at communicating with people on a regular basis. These are the things that made a great leader. And so if you go and you talk to your team and you say, what's the vision for our company? What's the vision for what we're trying to achieve? And they say, look, I don't know. Then you have already failed as a leader. You need to fix that before you can go on to these next steps. Because anything else will make you, my wife's on right now, hey hon. You know, anything else, anything short of being an effective leader will result in you just grinding your gears and being so frustrated with your team and with the process. You see, because a part of being a great leader means being able to clearly communicate and articulate what you're trying to do. Now, this means if you are trying to build a business, which means you are getting customers or you are getting investors, then you need to be the leader of that process too, and you need to communicate with them what it is you are trying to do. And if you don't, then those people will not want to be a part of your business either. Okay? In this day and age, especially in the United States, you know, in all modern countries these days, we're not really buying commodities anymore. We're buying personalities. We're buying services. We're buying value. You know, it used to be you could just sell a commodity and anybody would buy it because it was new and it was hot on the market and you couldn't find it anywhere else. That's not the case anymore. We've moved to a service-based economy, and as a result, we really need to focus on communication and providing that leadership and giving the personalities. So if we're not doing that effectively, then we're not going to build a great business. Okay, so again, this whole thing is about building an epic business in 2017. All right, I'm going to stop, pause. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and post them right here. Let me know, and I'm going to take a little sip of water here. All right. So vision and leadership, that is the foundation of building a successful business. And a lot of people would probably be saying, all right, Jeff, just give me the tactics. Just tell me what I need to do so I can build my business. And I'm going to tell you that that is exactly what I've done in the past. I've said, just give me the things I need to do. Tell me step by step what I need to do so that I can start building a business. And that is why I failed, because I was hoping that somebody else would take the reins for me and tell me what I needed to do. And when that happens, when somebody else tells you what you need to do, you are no longer in charge of your business. And it's no longer your vision. It's no longer your business, because you're just doing what somebody else has told you to do. Now, there's a lot of great training out there on how to do a lot of these things, but you still need to be the driver. Okay? So we've already talked about the focus method, being a fixed obsession culminating in unbelievable success. Well, focus also stands for something else when it comes to scaling a business. Now, I say this time and time again to my coaching clients. I say this over and over. It's nothing you haven't heard before. It's totally cliche at this point. But you need to first find a need and fill a need. I love to think about someone like Steve Jobs, because a lot of people say Steve Jobs did not fill a need in the marketplace. He created a need. And I say that's not true. What Steve Jobs did was he identified what people are doing on a daily basis. And what he said is that people, like, we'll take the iPhone as an example, or let's just start with the iPod Touch. People are looking at the internet all the time. They're going from one place to the other to try and look at the internet. They constantly have to pull out their laptop or their computer and sit down in front of a desk and pull up the internet and do all this stuff. What if they could do that from anywhere on the road in the world, and they could pull it out of their pocket? Hence the idea for the iPhone and the iPod Touch. He found a need and he filled it. All right, he created a revolutionary product by doing that, and his team did, and they continue to do that. But they found a need that people didn't even know they had. Okay, look at what Henry Ford did when he created the assembly line for cars. Henry Ford is quoted as saying, "If I asked people what they want, they would have told me faster horses, because no one had a clue what they really wanted. But what they needed was a way to get from point A to point B faster. They needed a way to, go throughout the year without their horse dying, right? They needed a lot of things, but they couldn't express it in their own terms. So how do you find a need? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to ask people what it is that they don't like about X. Now, X needs to fall in line with whatever it is you're trying to offer, whatever your skill set is or your experience. So when I was building Self-Directed Company, I went about this the wrong way. I just tried to tell them what was wrong with their investment strategy. I tried to tell them what was wrong with their retirement plans. And in hindsight, what we should have been doing is asking them, what don't you like about this? And we thought we knew, right? We thought we understood the market really well, and we thought that, the thing that people didn't like was lack of transparency in the financial institutions, lack of understanding about how to invest in the first place, lack of any idea as to what they were going to get in return, all of that stuff, right? Some of that's true, some of it wasn't. But what we didn't do is we didn't articulate our vision in their words. We didn't use the feedback that we got from our customers to build out our product, and that's where we fell short. And we should have had that feedback loop constantly going, so we could say, this is what people are telling us they want and need, and this is what we need to provide them. Okay? And they're telling us they want and need it because they're telling us they hate this, and this is not working for them. So you figure out what the need is by asking people what they don't like about what they're already doing. And then by doing that, you can decipher what it is they want and they need. And then you fill that need. Now make sure, again, if you're going to fill a need, it's in an area that you are passionate about, that you have expertise in, and all that. We're working on projects right now where we are trying to help large companies understand how to minimize the risk when it comes to having fleets, having large numbers of vehicles that people are driving. And when it comes down to it, they're not concerned about the things that we initially hypothesized and said, look, this is probably what they're concerned about. Instead, what they're concerned about is this thing over here. And as a result, we had to pivot and we had to say, okay, how do we fix this? How do we marry their need and the things that they're frustrated with the things that we could possibly provide? And it has to be in the same realm, because if it's not in the realm of area of expertise that you have, then you're going to be trying to reinvent yourself and create a whole new experience and skill set that maybe you don't have or don't want. Okay? I'll go through the rest of the focus and then we'll come back to each one. So focus, find a need, fill a need. O, offer something of value. You need to offer something that's very valuable for the people that have that need. And then C, create a change or transformation. And we want to change their reality. So that's C. U is your unique value proposition. What is that you can do that no one else can do? And then S, the crux of all this is scale. How do we scale? And we're going to talk about that as well. Okay, so we already talked about find a need, fill a need. Now, I want to talk about offering something of value. What is value first and foremost? You know, a lot of people say, oh, value is what somebody feels like they get out of a product or a service. Value is actually the difference between what somebody gets out of a product and service and the price they pay. That gap right there is the value. Okay? If you are providing value right at the level that somebody pays and they expect to get, that's not value. You're not going above and beyond. You're not helping your customers achieve a new reality that they really want. You're not providing the value that they were hoping they'd get. Yes, they got what they paid for. It's like going to Burger King and you pay 99 cents and you get 4 chicken nuggets. Great, you got 4 chicken nuggets, whoop-de-doo. But they didn't go out of their way to wow you in any way, and you're not really enthralled with that company in general. They have a commodity, and if you want to create something other than a commodity, then you need to provide value above and beyond what they paid for. Okay, that's what value is. Now, value is based on your customer and not you. So you need to understand that value is a perception, it's not a reality. Okay, and that's really key to understand. Value is in the eye of the beholder, right? They say beauty's in the eye of the beholder, value is too. So just because I think that something is valuable, like this, you know, I'm offering this and I'm trying to help you guys understand building a business and scaling a business. To me, I've asked people, you know, what is it they want help with, and they've told me. But this may not be valuable to you. Sitting down and watching me talk on Facebook or on your desktop or whatever, it may not be valuable to you. And so as a result, you know, this is just a waste of time for you. Now, that being said, I'm giving it away for free, so hopefully there is some value here, right? But the value is based on the person who's receiving it, not the person giving it. So just because you say, look, now I'm going to use a Shark Tank example. There's this thing called the fish call. These guys went on a Shark Tank, and of course they're asking all these metrics, you know, what do you get it for? What are you selling it for? What are your sales? Blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, we bought the product, you know, all in $16. We're selling it for $99. Okay, so there's a huge markup there, right? They're basically upping their value by 5x. Their margin is huge, okay, $82, $83 right there. Now, if you and I were looking at that and we said, okay, let's say we're not in the fish market, and this thing, what it does, it helps you catch more fish when you're out fishing. Let's say we're not in the fish market, we're not avid fishermen. We're not avid fishermen. To us, I look at something like that and I say it's $99. It only costs you guys $16. Why would I pay $99? Right? Because there's no value there to me. I don't go out fishing regularly. I don't need to catch a whole bunch more fish. So for me, $99 is not a value. I don't want that. It's not important to me. Instead, I'd say, why can't I get it for 20 bucks? Okay? And there's a lesson here. I'm going to get back to this in a little bit about what I just told you. To me, there's no value. Now, let's say I go out to an avid fisherman who is so tired. You know, think about my father-in-law and my grandfather-in-law. Go out and they go on an Alaskan trip, you know, fishing trip, and they come back with like 1 or 2 halibut, and they're pissed off because they didn't catch hardly anything. But they spent thousands of dollars to go out on this fishing trip. Now, what if they looked at this thing and they said, wow, I can catch like 5 times more fish? That's awesome. It's only $100? Awesome. So this $3,000 trip that I'm paying for, and I'm going to catch 5 times as many fish as I caught last time. So instead of 2, I'm catching 10, and it totally makes that trip worthwhile. To them, there's huge value there, because now that extra expense that they're paying to go out there on a regular basis, or the people that go fishing every single day, there's huge value for them. Because for them, it only costs $99, but they're getting X number of fish more because of that product. So that is what I mean by value. Okay, value is in the eye of the beholder. So you really need to focus on that. And this is why it's important to focus on your target market. And we are going to get right back to that here in a little bit about lead generation, target markets, and all that. And 2 really big or little levers that will swing huge doors for you. All right, so C. So we're talking about focus here. So C, we want to change their reality. We want somebody to come in and experience what it is we do. And as a result of having experienced our product or our service, they have a new outlook on life. They are transformed. They are changed in some way. My wife is awesome at this. Okay, she's a chiropractor, and what she does is she actually goes out there and she helps people who may come into the office crawling on hands and knees. And because they're crawling on hands and knees coming into the office, they are in so much pain. They're miserable. They can't enjoy their lives. You can just see it on their face. They're in agony. And what she does, she puts them on the table. She works with them. She figures out what's wrong. And then she adjusts them. She does whatever she can do to help them. And then as a result, they get up off the table and they walk out on their own. And I can't tell you how many times somebody has said, you have changed my life, Ash. Like, this is awesome. I've never felt this good. A guy she was telling me about the other day, been in pain for the last 5 years, CrossFit, works out all the time, says I'm always in pain, and leaves the office, comes back and says, this is the first time in 5 years I haven't been in pain. Changed his reality. Changed everything about the way the guy lives, right? That's huge. Now, going back to value, if he only spent $100 for that, but it changed his life for as long as he lives, he doesn't have to be in pain, like, can you imagine the amount of value that she just provided to that person? Okay, so change their reality. How do you do this? Well, first you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to understand what their reality is. And if you don't understand what their reality is, then you have no way of changing it. Plain and simple. So let's talk about the self-employed person who has one or two people working for them that they can't rely on, and they feel like they have to always be the boss and always have to be doing all the work themselves. When you're self-employed, you're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. People look at you and they say, oh, your life must be great because you have your own business, right? Same thing with the entrepreneur who's working 70, 80 hours a week trying to figure out how to build their business. You must have everything made because you call yourself an entrepreneur or you're a business owner. What they don't see is all the hard work and the effort that's going on behind the scenes of you trying to build this business. So let's say somebody comes along and they offer coaching or a service to do done-for-you marketing. And as a result, you are able to offload a big chunk of all that time that you're spending in the office to somebody else who can do it for you. You know, what's that worth? Well, they just changed your reality. Instead of you spending 60 hours in the office, you're spending 40. You get to finally start enjoying your life more. Like I said earlier, I get to see my boys. I get to go hang out with them. I get to go to birthday parties on the weekends. We get to go swimming in the evenings. Things like that, right? So there's a huge amount of value there because my reality has been changed. And you only change someone's reality by first understanding where they are. Like, what are their challenges? What is their reality to begin with? So once you understand what their reality is, then you can go forward and provide a service or a product that will change the reality for them. And that is how you add value to someone's life. That's how you start growing a business. Okay? Excuse me. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you're over on Periscope, give me some love over there, huh? Look, couple taps. All right. So, again, talking about focus. So we talked about find a need, fill a need, offer something of value, change their reality. Now your unique value proposition. What is it that you do that no one else can do? You hear this as a unique value proposition, the unique selling proposition. Okay? The example that everyone loves to use is Domino's. Fresh hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less. When they first came out, that transformed their business. All of a sudden, people are like, oh, I can have pizza sent to me in 30 minutes and feed the family? Awesome. Change their business, right? So that's a really easy one for them, for people to wrap their heads around. But what about for you? What about for your business? You know, what is your unique value proposition? What is the value that you provide that no one else really can? You know, again, for me, when I work on projects or I work with teams, you know, I don't necessarily provide the value of the copywriting, right? And I don't necessarily provide the value of design. Like, I'm terrible at design. I suck at it, miserable, you know. But what I am good at is I'm good at looking at systems, processes, and procedures and making them infinitely better. You know, I look at things with a different eye around how do we turn things into a system? How do we automate it? How do we scale it up? And we're going to talk about scale a lot. But when I look at something, that's the area that I provide. Scalability and systems, right? Maximum value for minimum effort. That's what I can provide for people. And that's what I provide for companies. That's what I provide for projects. And in doing that, in helping the leaders understand how to do that and how to be effective at that, you know, the executive coaching part, I'm able to provide value and I'm able to use that as my unique value proposition, my unique selling proposition, or USP as you hear it in the marketing world. But I cannot add any value when it comes to graphic design. All right, when we had the chiropractic office model, designed, we hired somebody that did that, and Stephanie did a killer job on that. but that's not my area of expertise. So I cannot go into that realm and add value. So you need to figure out where it is that you add value. And there's this thing called the value stream, okay? And if you look at any sort of company that brings in, products and services and then sells them, then each step of that process is called the value stream. It's part of the value chain, part of the value stream. And certain people can add value to each segment. Okay, so UPS adds value by getting the products from Amazon to your door in 1 or 2 days. Like that's their value to Amazon. And so if you're looking at your business, you need to figure out where you fit in the value chain and where do you add value and where do you add value for your customers. So if you're B2B, and this is where a lot of people get hung up, is they say, I do X, but really what they do doesn't matter to the person they're doing it for. What really matters is the outcome that they provide. So the value has to be based on the outcome, okay? And you really need to consider that when you are talking about what your USP is, what your unique value proposition is. And remember, it's not a slogan. It's an outcome, it's a deliverable, it's a guarantee, something like that. For me, when I work with entrepreneurs, it's let's double your business in 90 days, all right? And this isn't for people that have never done a business before and never gotten their first sale, but I know I can do it because I've done it for people. All right, and again, it's using those little levers to swing big doors. All right, little break here. Now, if you guys are watching this on a replay later on, then please add the comments and I'll still get notified and I will make sure to respond to you in kind. All right, so scaling. This is the last part of focus. I want you to scale your business. Ultimately, it doesn't do us any good to create a job. If you go out there and you become self-employed or you start a business, then and you just are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week doing it, you haven't created a business, you've created a job. And scaling is what takes somebody from being self-employed, where they are the sole breadwinner, and if they leave, the income leaves, from going from self-employed to business owner, okay? And you cannot call your entrepreneur until you become a business owner, all right? You're an entrepreneur. You can be entrepreneurial in creating a small business, but you're not an entrepreneur until you can actually leave your business. All right, that's the way I look at it. Again, my opinion, you don't have to care about that or not, but that's the way I look at it. So a lot of business owners, a lot of the people that I've talked to and I've worked with, they try to scale too soon. They try to automate too soon. They try to systematize too soon. And why do they do this? They do it because they see that as the end-all be-all for growing their business and being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. But the problem is that if you try to scale and automate too soon, then you don't know enough about your model, your business model, and making sure it works. And you have to constantly go back and tweak this and test it. And we use what's called the Business Model Canvas. It's something developed by Eric Ries and the Lean Startup, and we're talking about, and Osterwalder. We talk about who our customer segments are, how we're going to deliver value to them, what our product and service is, how we're going to make money from it, what are our costs, all these different components, right? And once we have that part figured out and we start generating some revenue, then we need to go back, we need to say, did this work out? Was this the right process? Is there a way to tweak this? And we use that by looking at numbers. We have to look at various metrics to figure out if our business model works first before we start growing it. Now, when you're ready to grow it, what you have to do is you have to identify a couple of things that can scale. Okay, so scaling does not mean for every new customer I get, I have to hire another employee. That's not scaling. Okay, scaling is the maximum return for the minimum effort. All right, so if I put a little bit in, then I get a lot more out. This is why software companies and technology are so huge, especially in our country, because they're very scalable. Once you write a piece of code, 1 million people can use that, and it doesn't require any extra effort on the developer's part or the programmer's part. Okay, but to scale something, you really need to understand that the model works. And so this means that for Starbucks, for every new store they're going to add, maybe it costs them $1 million to add that store, and maybe it's a $5 million per year cost, but they know that they're going to get $10 million in revenue per store that they add. Okay, that they know can scale because it's profitable per store. If they break even on every store, it doesn't really do them much good unless there's another strategy behind that. So let's look at some things that you need to think about before you even consider scaling. Now, first off, you need to test small, all right? You need to test small and find out what works. So when it comes to marketing, especially the internet marketing space, the online advertising space, people say, oh, just scale it up, just start throwing a whole bunch of money at it and let's see if it works, all right? Because we know that we've gotten a few sales, so let's just start exploding this thing. Well, unfortunately, when you do that, you're not really testing every step of the way. Because if you just throw a whole bunch of money at it and it turns out that it becomes unprofitable, like let's say you have an ad campaign and for every $5 you're spending, you're getting $6 back. All right, that's not a great margin to begin with, but you know that it's working. And now if you start throwing $100 at it, you'd expect to get a little bit more back, but it's not working now. And why? Well, because you haven't proven the model. You need to take it in bite-sized chunks. Now, this obviously depends on what your budget and your appetite is, your appetite for risk. Proactive is huge in the acne space because they can lose money for 6 months of a customer's lifetime before they actually start making that money back because they know what the customer lifetime value is. And that's the next metric. What's the customer lifetime value? For us, let's say our chiropractic office, we know that it's roughly $1,000 per year per patient. Now, I don't know what their lifetime value is because some patients can stay for 5, 10, 15 years. Others are gone after 6 months. All right, so we haven't averaged that part out. Again, we're relatively new at that one. So, but I know what we're going to get on an annual basis. So I need to know how much it's going to cost me to acquire that. So first you need to figure out what your customer lifetime value is, and that is determined by the number of times that they spend money with you, how much money they spend, and multiplying those together. So let's say they come in 10 times, they spend $100 each time, that's $1,000. Now, here's where you scale, and here's how businesses win. They have figured out a way to spend more than their customers, than their competitors, to acquire customers. So if I know that I'm going to get $1,000 in revenue, then I can spend $500, $600, $700 to get a customer. And this is what Proactive does. This is the example I was using. If Proactive knows that they're going to get $1,000 from every new client, they can spend $500 on the front end to get that, knowing that over the lifetime of that customer, they're going to get that extra $500 back. They're going to lose money on the front end, but they're going to get it on the back end. They're going to get it back. Okay. Now, a lot of companies, when they do this, and this is why I really cringe when I hear that those are the only things that you should look at when you're trying to scale or when you're trying to build out your business. I cringe because there's a lot of other stuff behind the scenes that you really need to pay attention to, like your fixed costs, right? What's your overhead? What does it cost to keep the doors open? What's your break-even point? How many sales do you need to make before you break even, before you become profitable? Okay, if you're not looking at those things as well as the customer lifetime value, the acquisition costs, all of that, then it's going to be really hard when you sit down with your accountant and they say, yeah, you're making a whole lot of money, but you're going bankrupt in the process, right? It's great to know what the customer acquisition cost is and the customer lifetime value because now you know how much it takes to acquire a customer, but you haven't included what the costs are to run the rest of the business. So we cannot ignore that. We need to focus on what does it cost to actually keep the doors open? What does it cost to keep our employees? And then what does it cost to acquire? So if you add all of that back up and then you still make a profit, then you know you can start scaling, okay? But you cannot just look at, I spent $5 on advertising and I got $6 back in return, and let's scale it out. And then you wonder why you're going bankrupt. It has to do with the fact that people are ignoring other metrics that are key to growing a business. Now, a lot of people just completely dismiss finance, they dismiss accounting until it bites them in the ass. All right, they just assume it's all going to work out because they see their revenue going up. But you can easily make $1 million or $10 million, or in some companies' case, $100 million and still go bankrupt. Okay, so many cases of that. When AIG had an $85 billion bailout, even though they're making hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. Go figure that one out, right? It doesn't work out if you don't pay attention to your numbers. So you need to know your numbers. All right, so we talked about outspending your competitors to gain more customers. You need to prove that it works. And then what you do, once you've proven it works, then you take it on the road. Okay, so let's say you've proven that one advertising channel works to one type of customer. Well, then you can expand it to another customer in that same advertising channel. So maybe you're focusing on, let's say we're going to focus on moms that are in their 30s that have 2 kids under the age of 5. Right? That's our target market because we're selling something for kids, or we're selling something for those busy working moms that have kids under the age of 5. We know it works for them, so will it work for moms that have kids from the age of 5 to 10? And then we test that market. And as we're testing each of these markets, we scale it out. Okay, so that's how you scale a business. And you scale out the advertising in conjunction with the operations. Okay, because if you start outselling what you can deliver, then there will be huge backlash. People will come back and they'll want refunds. They will, you'll be getting chargebacks on your credit card, which shuts down your merchant account faster than you can imagine. And as a result, you're going to go out of business. Okay, So I think a lot of people also miss this. They just assume that if I can start scaling my sales and my revenue, that everything else is going to be great. And I know for a fact that that is going to be the final nail in the coffin for a lot of companies because they see that they're profitable and their sales are working great and they're able to manage it, but they don't think about capacity. All right, I was working with this one guy who's actually in the cannabis business, and one of my questions was, he said, I want to 10x my business. Great. What is your production capacity right now when it comes to creating your product? Can you 10x your production? Well, no. Oh, then maybe we should look at that before we try and 10x our sales, right? If you can double it, then let's double your sales, and let's do it incrementally. But don't just try to go out of the gate. This is why you'll see companies on or investors on Shark Tank or going in front of venture capitalists is because they want to scale massively really quickly, and they need an influx of capital to be able to support the back end operations. Now, most entrepreneurs don't even think about that aspect of it unless they're really looking to make a global business, a multinational business, a $100 million company. But if you are in that realm where you're saying, look, I still want to grow to 10 million, 50 million, $100 million, but I don't want to go to a venture capitalist or to an angel investor and get 10, 15, $20 million to expand first and bring other partners on board, then you need to look at scaling incrementally. Okay, so those are the two ways to scale. Now, here is the number one key to growth. And this is why, in my last business, sucked at it. Terrible at it. Hindsight's 2020, and I realized it. I should have fixed it a long time ago. I didn't. I thought I was doing it. Didn't do it very well. And it ended up, we had to shut down the doors, and that's history, right? With the chiropractic office, we've done it differently. And it's consistent lead generation. If you are not consistently getting new customers on a daily basis, then you will soon be out of business. And lead generation is important for every single business out there. I don't care if you are Coca-Cola or if you are, the guy that's selling dry cleaning down the road. Okay, now they do it two completely different ways. All right, Coca-Cola has a huge brand, and they just assume that as people get older and they start drinking soda products, that Coca-Cola is going to be able to sell them. But if you've noticed, Coca-Cola has done something, and they've kind of flipped their business model on its head. Coke is now offering a lot of 0-calorie, no-calorie, sugar-free alternatives, and they're advertising that because they've seen that the market has shifted. All right, so you need to really pay attention to what your customers are giving you as feedback. And I guarantee you they did this because they're seeing sales precipitously drop in a lot of areas with their sugary beverages. And so they realized there was a need to pick up the advertising on their sugar-free beverages. Same thing with the dry cleaner. The dry cleaner needs to have constant new customers coming in because there's this thing called turnover and attrition. And if you are not at least replacing the customers you have, let alone getting more, then you will eventually run out of customers. And you cannot afford to do that when you're in business. You need to make sure that you're constantly getting new ones. So, how do we do that? How do we do lead generation? Especially in this day and age, you hear it all the time. You hear about marketing funnels, you hear about direct response marketing, you hear about copywriting. Lead generation used to be you put an ad in the yellow pages and people would show up, right? That's what it used to be. Or you put an ad in the paper and people would show up. Well, I got my yellow pages the other day and it's like that big. They used to be huge and now it's like that big. So that's not a source to do lead generation. So what do you do to get new leads on a daily basis? And if you can get leads on a daily basis, then you will be sitting pretty for scaling and growing your business. Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to go back to focus, right? You need to find the need and fill the need, right? So we figure out what the people want. Let's say, in my market, I'm helping real estate agents get more listings. Let's say that's what we're working on. Well, a real estate agent is not just going to come to me and say, Jeff, fix my business for me. I need to know exactly what I need to do. For me to get new people to come in on a regular basis, to get new real estate agents to come in, I need to give them something. I need to offer them something of value, right? So this is focus again. So I found the need. They need more listings because they want to grow their business. So I need to offer them something of value. And I need to offer them something that's going to change their reality. Okay, so their reality right now is that I'm spending 30, 40 hours a week cold calling people, calling up my warm list, driving my neighbors crazy, driving my family crazy. Nobody's calling me back. All of a sudden I'm getting disinvited from Thanksgiving, right? All these things are happening. I'm going back to the MLS, the multiple listing service, and I'm cold calling on expired listings, all these things, and they're not working. So How about I offer them something, 15 ways to get 15 new listings next month, right? Something like that. Something that's easily digestible. Something that offers value, that allows them to say, hey, that's me. I'm a real estate agent. I need new listings. I want 15 ways to get a listing because maybe I haven't done them all. And they take it and they consume it. After they consume that, right? And they're going through this process. They've consumed what we call the lead magnet, that thing that I gave them for free. And you can do that online. You can do that a number of different ways. You can do it in Facebook. You can do it, in direct mail. That's what we've done for the chiropractic business. We offer things for free through direct mail. We offer things for free through Facebook. We do it in a number of different ways. The medium doesn't really matter as long as your target market shows up there. So for me, if it's real estate agents, maybe I'm putting ads into their local real estate investing magazine, okay, because they're reading that. Maybe I'm putting it into trade journals. Maybe I'm putting it on a Facebook feed and I'm targeting the people that I know are real estate agents, right? And so I'm putting something in front of them and I know that they want that. Then they read through this and they go, oh, wow, okay, there's a lot here and I can't do all this stuff, so I need somebody to help me. Well, I've seeded in there my unique value proposition, that thing where I say, look, if you need help with this, I'm the person to help you. I know how to do this. And you don't say it in a braggadocio kind of way. You don't say it to puff your chest. What you're doing is you're planting the seed and you're letting them know that that's something that you can help them with. You can help your target market with by offering them this service. Okay, and you're planting that inside the lead magnet, inside your follow-up sequence, inside your sales letters, everything. Everywhere they go, if they see that you are the expert for what it is they are trying to solve, they will come to you. Okay, look at the heart surgeons. Heart surgeons generally don't need to do too much lead generation. Okay, mostly because when you need a heart surgeon, you need a heart surgeon. Somebody's told you, hey, this person's good, right? But let's use them as an example. When somebody says, I need heart surgery, they're going to go in for a consultation. They're going to sit down. They're going to talk with the surgeon. And the surgeon's going to explain the surgery itself. They're going to explain the process. They're going to explain the follow-up. They're going to explain all of this sort of stuff. And that's a free service. That's the lead magnet. That's the lead generation piece, which is somebody referred them or they know they need it and they found them somewhere advertised or on their health insurance website. And they came in and they got this free thing, which is the consultation. And now they're ready to move forward because they know that that heart surgeon is the best because they've been referred, because they saw their advertising, because they saw their health grades, whatever the case was, and then they got the free offer, right? Which changes their reality from, hey, you know what? You're having heart attacks on a regular basis and you could die to, I can fix that and you can live a long time, right? So it's really easy to sell the value of a heart surgeon when you need one, okay? And the last thing is scaling. Now, you can't scale a heart surgeon, all right? But can you scale a real estate business? Absolutely, you can. You scale a real estate business, and I show them how to do this by hiring the right people, by implementing these systems to get new leads on a regular basis, all right? And so that's what you're doing with lead generation. You're figuring out a system to bring in more people, okay? And if you figure out that system, you can automate it. And you can automate a lot of things this day and age, right? You can automate outbound phone calls, you can automate text message reminders, you can automate emails, you can automate direct mail, you can automate a lot of this stuff, and that's how you start scaling. You figure out how to automate your lead generation. So you can come in and instead of doing what I did when I first started as a real estate investor and financial services, which is knocking on doors, talking to people who I think and I pray might actually want what I need, and asking them to do business with me and trying to explain why they should, which is time consuming, it's gut wrenching, it's the most anxiety inducing thing that I've ever done in my life. And I was in the Navy and I was a submariner and I swam underneath nuclear powered submarines in the dark. So, going and knocking on somebody's door shouldn't have been that hard, but it terrified the crap out of me, right? And so I didn't really succeed in that area. You could do that, which takes up a lot of your time. You're never going to be able to scale that because you can only knock on so many doors. But if you were able to have other people knock on doors for you, or if you were able to have technology do that door knocking for you and reaching out to those people, that's how you start to scale, okay? And so if you're looking at all these different ways to, find what I call the little hinges that swing big doors, right? They're the little things that you can start implementing that will help you to move your business in the right direction and grow and reach more people and attract more people and convert them into customers. Now, here is a really, really big secret for growing a business to 7, 8, 9 figures. And before I tell you what it is, I'm going to tell you a story. All right, the only company that I worked for after I got out of the Navy was Hartford Steam Boiler, HSB. And it's an equipment breakdown and technology insurance company. And you've probably never heard of them, but they're a billion-dollar company and they have been around for 150 years, and they probably insure something that you're using in your office right now. All right, they may even insure the entire building. But if you've never heard of them, it doesn't really matter. What you need to know is the story, the history. For 120, 130 years, this company focused on boilers and pressure vessels and that type of equipment and insuring it. HVAC systems, everything that makes or uses electricity. Well, in the 70s, a lot of that stuff started changing, right? Now we have computers and microprocessors and all these cool gadgets out there and everything, right? And other companies saw that there was a huge opportunity in this market, and they entered it too. So HSB, that had like an 80% market share for most of the 20th century, started seeing that market share eroding. They hadn't changed their business model yet, and they hadn't figured out a way to remain profitable in the face of all this competition. So they had to change. They had to look at what is it that's going to help us grow? What is it that's going to help keep us profitable? And what they did is they found what I call the VPs. All right, not VIPs, not the very important people, even though they are. They found the VPs, the Vilfredo Pareto people. Okay, Vilfredo Pareto is the now famous and maybe infamous Italian economist from the 20th century that basically said 80% of a country's wealth comes from 20% of its people and its population and its output. And everybody started analyzing that, especially in the last 20 years, you're seeing a lot more of this. They're analyzing it in a lot of different ways. Turns out that applies to everything. It applies to businesses. It applies to customers. It applies to employees. You could, if you are a manager, if you are a CEO, if you're a boss, and you look at what gets accomplished, I guarantee you could take 80% of your people and put them over here and say, you guys don't do anything for me. And the top 20% put them over here, and you can say, these are my star players. Now, unfortunately, the irony in that is that 80% of managers spend their time over here with the people that suck, and only 20% even spend their time with the good people. You need to flip that. You need to focus all your time on the good people and find out ways to get more of them. Right? And that's going to help you grow your business. That's a tangent. But when you start looking at your income streams, you need to identify the 80-20, not of your revenue, but of your profit. Okay? And this is what HSB did. In the 90s, they said 80% of our profit, give or take, is coming from this one division. Maybe we should focus on that one division. And lo and behold, they did. Here we are 20 plus years later. The company is now gone from losing money to $100 million in profit every single year. Okay, so they made the right choice. A lot of people didn't agree with the choice. It was very unpopular. It wasn't what people wanted to do. It wasn't what the company was known for, all that stuff. But they made a choice, and the choice saved the company. Instead, you look at companies like Kodak. Eastman Kodak, 100 plus years, they were making film, they were making everything to build cameras. Digital cameras come along, and they say, nah, it's a tiny little sliver of the market, no one's going to pay attention to that. And they weren't on board, and they weren't ready for this change. And they continued to focus 80% of their efforts into, and actually like 95% of their efforts in this other area, instead of looking at this other technology that was new and growing and recognizing that it was growing. Because how much does it cost to produce camera equipment for the old school stuff? A lot of money, right? It doesn't take very much to produce camera equipment for digital cameras anymore. And digital cameras require a lot less cost, a lot less man hours, everything to get a digital photo. But they didn't pay attention to that, and as a result, they went bankrupt. Okay, so that's a technology shift that they weren't paying attention to. So all of these things come together, and you start really focusing on filling a need, providing an offer, changing someone's reality, using your undisputed, unique value proposition, and scaling you by focusing on those Pareto people. All right, those 80-20. You do the 80-20 of who is making your company money. And if you do that, if you focus only on the customer segment that generates 80% of your profits, then you will inherently grow your business. You don't have to do anything else besides start focusing on that customer segment. If you only do that, you will start to grow your business. Okay, and you can actually start scaling a lot faster and easier that way. That's why you're seeing everybody out there selling high ticket stuff. High ticket coaching, high ticket this, high ticket that, right? because they realized, hey, you know what? It's a lot easier for me to get one person spending $10,000 than it is for me to get 100 people spending 1,000 or spending $100, right? Or 10,000 or 1,000, whatever it is. Um, can't even do math now. 100 times 100, right? So you really need to start focusing on the Pareto principle, the 80-20 when it comes to your profits. If you focus on the 80-20 of your revenue, but you forget about the costs, you could go bankrupt, all right? So we don't want to do that. All right, so that's what I really want you to think about. When it comes to building and scaling a business, you need to focus on lead generation for those people that are going to be the most profitable. If you focus on them and then you provide them the value that they want and you offer them the services and you change their reality and you use your unique value proposition to do all of that, then you will scale. If you go out of order, if you're not paying attention to that, and you forget about those two things I talked about in the beginning, which is the vision and the leadership, the foundation of your business, then everything will crumble. Okay, because if you're hoping that your employees are just going to figure it out, or you're hoping that somebody else is going to come along and tell you exactly what to do, then you're going to fail. All right, but when it comes to scaling a business, you really need to focus on who the people are that you're serving, how are you serving them, how are you changing their reality, and are they profitable to begin with, right? Don't spend all your time looking at the bottom of the barrel. If, I love this quote, and I don't remember where it came from, but Amazon has come out and they basically dominated the retail space. And this is what everybody thought was going to happen 20 plus years ago when the internet became ubiquitous, right? They thought, oh my gosh, there's not going to be a single brick and mortar retail store ever again. Everybody's just going to start buying stuff online. Well, it took a long time. eBay came along, and then Amazon, and now we have Shopify, and we have Etsy stores. We have all these different online retailers, but there's still plenty of brick and mortar retail. But companies like JCPenney didn't really see it coming. Companies like Sears didn't really see it coming. Bon Marché got acquired. There are a lot of other retailers that went out of business. The five and dime stores don't even exist anymore because of this same principle. Walmart ate them up, and now Amazon's doing the same thing to a lot of other companies, including Walmart. And what's happening is a lot of people are basically competing on price. And when you compete on price, you are in an inevitable race to the bottom, which means that you are only focusing on the people that care about price and price alone. And if they care about price and price alone, then your margins are going to be so razor thin that Amazon can come in and beat you every single time. Remember what I talked about with Proactive, where Proactive can lose money for 6 months before they start making any money, so they can undercut everybody else's pricing structure? Well, that's exactly what Amazon does. They can undercut your pricing structure any day of the week. So if you are focusing on price, if you are focusing on that bottom of the barrel, and that's what your value proposition is, then expect to be Amazoned or Walmarted or just put out of business by these big box retailers or these other companies that can really come in and take over. You don't want to be in that space. Instead, the space you want to be in is one that provides massive value and focuses on the profitable portion of your business. Okay? So hopefully that has helped you guys. I really appreciate, for those of you that stuck around for quite a while, for those of you guys that put in questions and all that, thank you very much. Really appreciate you. If you're watching this on the replay, please shoot your comments over, shoot your messages. Really want to hear what you guys have to say, want to hear what your questions are, and make sure I get those answered for you. And I promise I'll respond to anybody that writes a question on any of these platforms, all right? So I'm going to have to turn everything off here individually, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much. If you want to scale your business in 2017, watch this a few times, go through it, and start applying those ideas and those strategies, okay? Because it doesn't matter what the tactic is. If you focus on the vision, the leadership, and the strategies that we just mentioned, then I guarantee you'll start growing, okay? So thank you very much again. Take care. Peace out.